In this video, we're going to show you how to install pads and rotors on your Explorer Interceptor located behind your front wheels. With the vehicle raised in support, you want to go ahead and remove the center cap. You can use a pry tool such as a small pry bar or something like that and gently get behind that and twist that, pop it off. Using a 19mm socket, go ahead, loosen and remove the lug nuts. Go ahead and grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Now at this point here, I want to go ahead and grab our rotor on our caliper, and we're going to crank this way here. We're going to go ahead and access the hardware on the back side of our caliper and caliper bracket. Now on the back side here, we want to go ahead and remove our brake caliper. And we're going to loosen and remove our two 17mm bolts. There's one here, one on the top. Now that we have our pins removed here, we want to go ahead and separate our caliper. I'm going to use a small pry bar, go between the caliper and the bracket itself, and you're going to gently pry it outward. You can do the same on the top. Before you remove this completely, you want to go ahead and grab a tool like this here or a securing strap. When we remove this here, we want to support this up. We're going to hang it off of our strut spring up above. We don't want this to hang on our flex hose as that can damage this hose and cause other braking problems. Sometimes if you have an issue getting the brake caliper off, you can use your screwdriver or pry tool. Go in the center slot here and you're going to go into the brake rotor and you're going to pry the caliper over. That's going to push the pistons into the caliper. That should free things up to go ahead and slide this out. You're going to use this tool here, go into the slide pin bolt hole, raise it up, and just hang it up on the strut. That keeps that up and out of the way. Go ahead and remove your brake pads. The inboard pad comes off just like the outside pad. You want to go ahead and remove your brake caliper bracket. There's two 18mm bolts on the back side here that go through the knuckle into the bracket. When you remove this bolt here, the caliper bracket is going to want to fall, so be careful and hold on to that when you remove this here. When you remove this also, you want to pay attention to the brake rotor and make sure that that stays on the wheel hub when you separate it. Next is you want to go ahead and remove your brake rotor. Now on our particular vehicle, our screw is missing here, but you may have a T40 Torx bit screw holding the rotor to the wheel hub. That's usually there from the factory and it's used there during assembly. It's not critical to the operation of your brakes. If you do have that screw, go ahead and use a T40 Torx bit, loosen and remove that. Once it's out, the rotor itself should be free. Ours is a little bit stuck, so we're going to go ahead and use a mallet to go ahead and smack that loose. If you are using a hammer to smack this loose, a good little tip, go ahead and throw a lug nut on here. Just a few threads to capture that rotor if in case it wants to shoot off, or you can simply hold it. Rotate it, give it a few whacks here and there. Go ahead and grab that rotor, remove it, and set it aside. Next thing you want to do is go ahead and clean your hub face. When you use some solvent, spray this down. And we're going to use a bristle brush to go ahead and clean this. You want to make sure that you get any of that scaly rust or anything off of this here to make sure that the new brake rotor sits on there nice and flush. Now, if you don't clean this up and get any of that scaly rust off, the brake rotor may not sit flush, and it's going to cause a brake pulsation right once you start driving on the road, because that rotor won't sit flush and it's going to wobble as it rotates. So it's very imperative that you make sure that the surface as well as the seating rim here is clean of rust. Now at this point here, now that we're all prepped and clean here on the hub face, I'm going to go ahead and put a fresh coat of anti-seize compound on there. Now the key thing here is go ahead and take care of your brake caliper bracket. You're going to start by removing the sliders here. The next thing, you want to go ahead and remove your rubber boots for your slide pins. So a safe thing to do now is to go ahead and look at these boots, roll them around, twist them, and look for any tears or anything like that that would cause water or moisture to get inside. You want to inspect both of these here, and ours look like they're in excellent condition. If they are split or anything like that, you need to replace these. Now we're going to gently pinch these at the base and kind of roll these out, just like so. They come up pretty easy. Do that on both sides. And they're the same, so it doesn't matter which one goes where. We're going to reuse those. Next thing we want to do is go ahead and flip this up, and we're going to clean where the slides go. You can use a bristle brush to do something like this. Clean up those surfaces really, really good. Now, if you have rust buildup on the inside here on these flat sections, you need to go ahead and clean that. Now, if you go ahead and install your new sliders here and they don't sit flush because the rust buildup, it's going to cause your brake pads to bind and they won't slide in and out, causing premature brake failure. If you have to, use a file with a flat edge on it. You can go ahead and clean those edges. You're not here to remove steel, you're here to clean up any of that rust. After you do that, go ahead and give it a spray with some solvent. Wipe that down and go ahead and check it out. Once you're satisfied with the cleanliness here, do the same for the other side. Flip this over and let's focus our attention to the ports where the slide pins go. Wearing safety glasses, it's best to go ahead and take some spray solvent and spray some inside the port. Now we need to clean inside here. We're going to use a bore brush to go ahead in and clean out any of the old grease or debris that's in there. And then flush it out. We'll do the same to the other port. Once again, make sure you're wearing safety glasses if you're doing this step. You don't want that spray to come blasting out and hit you in the face. You can tip that to the side, let it rest for a couple minutes, and let that solvent dry up inside there. Grab your slide pins and give those a wipe down. Use some spray solvent. What we want to do is go ahead and inspect these pins. If there is scaly rust on it, anything like that, it's probably best that you go ahead and replace them. But ours are pretty clean. If you have to, go ahead and run it through a wire wheel machine just to clean up anything else that you have any concerns about. But that pin is in excellent condition. Grab the other one, spray it down, and do the same. Now chances are one of your pins is going to have a rubber insulator on it. You want to inspect that. Make sure that's not torn or worn. Ours is in excellent condition, as well as the pin. Our pins are ready for installation, so we're going to set those aside. Let's go ahead and flip up our bracket here. Make sure if you have any residual solvent inside these ports on the edges here, you want to go ahead and clean that up. Do the same on our boots. We want to go ahead and inspect those one more time. I'm going to take some silicone paste here. I'm going to put a little bit on the inside. I don't want to pack this. I just want to put a little bit in here. I'm going to go ahead and install our boot. Line that up. And just push it in. Make sure it's fully seated all the way around. Do the same on the other side. Now that we have our boots in, I'm going to take your slide pins. I'm going to put a thin coat of grease on here. Now we don't want to apply a whole ton of grease on this, and we don't want to fill the tube because that's going to hydrolock this. What that means is if you push this in, and it's going to capture the air inside and push this pin back out. We don't want that to happen. See how that slides in? Okay. And we're going to test these now, but we're going to install them later. We're going to go ahead and repeat this for the other side. Perfect. Next step is we're going to take a little bit of that silicone paste and we're going to put some right here where our sliders are going to go. Once again, thin coat. So put some on there, smear it with your glove. Do the same over here. Wipe off the excess. Want to install your slides here. Press this down into place. Do the same on this one here. And you want to make sure that these are seated flush on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process for this side. Now you notice we applied the silicone paste underneath the slides. Do not put grease where the slides go or where the pad is going to be seated. And our caliper bracket is ready for installation. I'm going to go ahead and install your brake rotor here. Now if you have the screw here to set this in, you want to go ahead and obviously line this up. And then go ahead and install your set screw. Now most of the time when you receive your brake rotors, they're going to come inside of a plastic bag with an oil coating on it. You want to be sure to go ahead and use some solvent to go ahead and clean the rotor. Spray it down, wipe it down, do it on both sides to get rid of any of that oil. Once you've done that, get that installed, install that screw if you have it. If you don't have it, it's not critical to the operation. Take your brake caliper bracket. We're going to slide this over. And I'm going to go ahead and install the upper bolt and just get that caught just a couple threads. Now that we have the upper bolt caught a few threads, all we have to do is pivot this back and forth to line up that lower bolt. And we'll do the same here. Once you have those in, I'm going to go ahead and run those down. These do have to get torqued in the end, so I'm just going to snug them gently. ahead and install your pads. Just got to line those up. Do the same on the outboard pad. Line that up right inside your slider. Make sure your rotor is pushed in and you squeeze those in. You want to make sure that the brake pad is flush up against the rotor. Let's go ahead and bring our brake caliper down. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to compress our pistons up into the caliper itself. And we're going to use a caliper tool to go ahead and do this. We need to push those evenly into the caliper. And I want to take our caliper and we're going to slide this over our pads. Now when sliding this over, you want to pay attention to the rubber boots. Make sure that those rubber boots don't get bound up. I'm going to go ahead and take a slide pin here and I'm going to put it in the top. Slide that in to that boot. And you're going to have to kind of maneuver the caliper around just a little bit. Push that in and then get that slide pin threaded in. Once you have that in several threads, I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the lower. Now what you're going to do here is, because the top is already lined up, all you have to do is pivot this on that pin, push that in, and go ahead and get that lower pin started in. Let's go ahead and snug those two pins down. These do have to get torqued. Torque down the caliper to knuckle bolts, 122 foot-pounds. Torque down the caliper to caliper bracket bolts, or slide pins, to 55 foot-pounds. Once you've done with this here, you want to go ahead and repeat this process for the other side. Be sure to hop into the vehicle and pump up the brakes. You're going to have a mushy pedal for at least the first 3 to 4 pushes. It's going to go to the floor. Once that firms up, at that point there, go ahead and install your wheel. Go ahead and grab that wheel, line it up on those studs, pop it on. We're going to go ahead and get all of our lug nuts started. Once we get all these started, we're going to go ahead and snug them down. Now when snugging these down, it's best if you go ahead and snug them down in a crisscross or a star pattern. Now you want to go ahead and torque down your lug nuts to 110 foot-pounds. Preferably you want to do this in a crisscross pattern. When you're all set, grab the center cap, line up the dimples with the lug nuts, pop it on, and you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.